Hi everybody, it's Alexa.
And Johnny.
We're here from Pages of Forbidden Love.
Hi.
For another one of our In Our Opinion videos.
In our opinion.
In our opinion.
It's not in a mailbox, though.
It's not in my mailbox.
A mailbox which has an opinion.
Anyways, so, we decided that last time we had done books that there was a lot of hype about. So this time Elizabeth, who's an author, and I'll link her books and all of that great stuff below, she actually emailed me and asked if we could do a video on books that we really like, or technically I really like because they're all books that I've read, that I feel never got enough
publicity. No hype.
There was no
word of mouth. Nothing.
Yeah. Or, you know, if there is some word of mouth, it's kind of very small, and a lot of people are very hesitant towards reading these books. So I just thought I would showcase them. A lot of them are
the radar.
Kind of older books, maybe some things you haven't heard of because they haven't really been around for the past couple years. They haven't really been in the spotlight. So, might as well get started. First off, a book that I love. This has been in my top 5 favorite books of teen books anyways, for a very long time.
How long is a long time? So they can give a
probably like 5
portrayal.
or 6 years.
Wow.
It's called A Northern Light. It is by Jennifer Donnelly. And she recently wrote a newer teen book called Revolution. That's the one where the cover is kind of split between the two girls, one in the past, one in the present. But before she wrote that, she did write this. It's called A Northern Light. It's about a 16-year-old girl, and she is actually set in the past, and she kind of has to figure out this mystery that happened at a hotel that she works at. It's about a woman who dies, and nobody really understands how she died. So it's part mystery, part learning about the girl's story, and I don't know why, but I have loved it for a very long time. So if you have not read this book, I would recommend you go get a copy, because...
Should I get a copy, or should I just read yours?
You can just read mine.
Alright! Everybody else will get a copy. I'm set.
So, I mean, there are kind of things like this that have come out more recently that kind of have the feel of this, the whole mystery and stuff. I just feel like this one stands apart because there's no paranormal elements. Back then, paranormal books weren't popular yet, so it's kind of, you know, one of the older books that I do really enjoy. Another book, a lot of people have heard about Tamora Pierce, so I'm not really sure how, like, you know, vague this book is, but she wrote a very kind of long series. It is the Tortall series, I think they call it, and in that series, it's like a 30-book series right now. She wrote... Well, I'm gonna explain. In the, like, 20-ish or whatever books, 20 to 30 books that there are out in this series right now, she wrote little series. So, for instance, the Alana series is the quartet that starts it off. So it's 4 books for this one. There's also another series about a girl who is kind of like, she does magic, they call her a mage, and, she has her own 4-book series. Then there's another girl who is a warrior again, like Alana is, and she has a 4-book series. Then there is a 2-book series of Alana's daughter, so she has 2 of her own books. And then from there it branches off into the one that most people actually know about right now is the Terrier, Bloodhound, and Mastiff, which those are kind of the newer ones.
The breeds of dogs.
But, right. Well, here, show you. This is kind of the series that most people know right now. This is kind of the newer ones. This is the Becca Cooper.
Crap, it's shiny.
I know, it is really metallic. It's the Becca Cooper series, and it's the Tortall world, but it takes place before Alana's story and everybody else's story. So I'd really recommend kind of reading this whole series. The whole series is amazing. I've read them all before. Really great series. Kind of, you know...
30 books.
It's not quite 30 books. It's more like 27 books. It's like 20-ish books. But really, it is a great series. I would recommend that you read it. Even if you just read the newer series. I mean, you can read the Becca Cooper story without having to have read any of the other ones. But I really love that whole entire Tortall series. So if you haven't read any of those quartets or 2-book ones that make up the whole series, I would definitely suggest that. A book that most people have hardly even ever heard of is Battle Dress. It's by Amy Effa? I hope I say that right.
Effa.
And she recently wrote After, which is the cover that has the girl kind of leaning against the side of the cover and she's pregnant, and it's supposed to be about her pregnancy and kind of what happens after her pregnancy. Well, before she wrote After, she wrote Battle Dress. This is a great teen novel. It's about a girl named Andy. She's 18 years old, and she has decided that she wants to go to basic training to join in the military. Great story, kind of women empowerment, while at the same time having a great cast of characters. If you have not read this one, you really need to. It is, again, one of my top 5 favorite books. I really love this book. I've read it like 5 times.
Jesus. 5 times.
Another kind of old favorite of mine. I know a lot of my favorites and a lot of things that I think people haven't heard of are just kind of older books. This one is called A Time for Dancing by Davida Wills Herwin. Davida. Okay.
It's okay. We'll sign it out together and you'll get it eventually.
We'll get there sometime in life, okay? I don't really know what to tell you. A Time for Dancing. This one is actually a heartbreaking kind of story. It's about 2 girls who are best friends. I think they're like 16 or 17 years old. They're seniors in high school. They, are kind of ready to start the next step of their lives together, going to college and doing all of those great things. But one of the girls ends up getting cancer. So Johnny's over here already crying. But yes, this is a book I absolutely love. I don't
know. I don't want to ask.
I haven't read it in a long time, but I really do love this book. It's one of my older favorites. It's not really something that I sit down and read all the time because it's like sad, but
sounds like Brian's song for kids. Do you remember Brian's song?
No, I don't remember Brian's song.
And have you watched that in school?
No.
Billy D. Williams. Or Brian Piccolo. Yeah, Brian Piccolo.
I don't know, but this is a great heartbreaking story, so I would suggest reading that too.
So it's very sad.
It is sad, yes. It's about a girl who, is dying of cancer. How do you expect that to be happy? Kind of keeping with the sad theme here, I guess.
Oh, God.
Johnny's gonna cry over here. Say Goodnight, Gracie is another kind of older story. I think this one is from the 80s. Yeah, copyright is like 1988 on this one.
You weren't even born then. I was.
Let's see when it was originally copyrighted. Yeah, 1988. By HarperCollins.
Yeah.
So,
before they had a Harper Teen imprint, probably.
Probably.
Teens reading never.
So Say Goodnight to Gracie is a great story about a girl named Morgan and a guy named Jimmy who are best friends.
Little Jimmy.
And they have this great dynamic. They have this witty kind of, known each other for their whole life dynamic. They can kind of pick out each other's flaws and what kind of upsets each other. I won't kind of tell you what happens in the end, but this is a great story.
You tell me.
It's sad, great story. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
So this is another one that's kind of older. Moving into some newer stuff. I think this one was published just a few years ago.
Sounds sad.
It's called Scrambled Eggs at Midnight. This is just a cute story about 2 teenagers who kind of meet while they're doing like a summer camp type of thing, working for a summer camp. I read it a long time ago, so I don't really remember specific details of it, but I've never really heard about any other bloggers who have read this, and it was actually a pretty good story from what I remember. So definitely should check that one out. These 2 are actually a writing team. It's Brad Barkley and Heather Helper. And they have actually written a couple newer things more recently. I know they wrote The Dream Factory, Jar of Glass, other books that seems nobody's ever heard of but me, apparently.
I've never heard of them either, so don't worry. Well, some of these I actually
On to some newer things that, some of these books, they have a bit of hype out about them, a little bit, but sometimes I think people are really hesitant just to pick them up and actually read them. So, the first one, Between Shades of Grey, Johnny will be able to tell you that I was literally crying during the end of this book. I was just sitting there with tears streaming down my face reading this one.
Yeah, I think I was lying next to you reading it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful story. I honestly think that everybody should read this book because a lot of times when you hear about everything that happened during World War II,
you always hear about the nonsense.
Yeah, you always hear about the certain time period in history during World War II, and you always hear about what Germany was doing. But there's this whole other side of what was going on in Russia and the camps that they had for people who were actually citizens of countries that Russia was taking over. And the way that these people get treated is heartbreaking. It's like reading about the Holocaust, except nobody really knows that this happened. So I think the author did a great job of just kind of bringing light to these people's story, because not only did these people have to live through the camps, afterwards they couldn't really talk about it like they did with the Holocaust. Like, you know, lots of Holocaust survivors are interviewed and they talk to them and they know who they are. With this, it's not the same, because Russia still had control of their countries even after they were able to go home from the camps, like 12 years later. They still couldn't talk about it. They were forbidden from their government of even telling anybody that this happened to them. Only recently, I think in, what was that, 1989?
89's, like, around 89 is when the wall fell.
When all that happened, were they finally able to talk about their story. So it hasn't been that long that these people were actually able to voice what really happened to them. So it is a great story, heartbreaking. Everybody should read it. If you're hesitant about reading that one,
they should pick this up in school systems.
Exactly. I think it would be great if high school students had to read about this. Instead of doing all the Holocaust reading, I really think
not to say that, you know, I'm a history major, not to say the Holocaust reading shouldn't be, like, required reading as well, but you need to cut back. You can only hear so much about one particular thing. You need to be more acculturated, and this is something that would immerse you in something more.
Right.
So, and get rid of Anne Frank and her little diary.
Yeah, the whole Anne Frank thing, I'm sorry. That's kind of gotten old at this point. You know, you need to move forward a little bit, maybe. Anyways.
You should.
Last book up is an author that I have actually met several times.
Did I meet her too?
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah, I did. It was at Comic-Con, right?
At Comic-Con.
Yeah, we became friends.
Jeannie Koch.
I don't Twitter, though.
Wrote The Touched by an Alien. It's basically kind of like the Kitty Cat series, you know, her whole full name. But, great series. First book is Touched by an Alien. A lot of people who I talk to about this, I recommend it to people all the time. And people kind of, the response that they give me is, I don't like aliens, or I don't like the whole UFO idea. It's so much more than that!
Don't limit yourself to such one thing. Yeah, it's about aliens, but it's more than that.
It's so much more. It's completely different than what you would think of when you think of an alien story. I mean, yes, this is classified as sci-fi romance. There is a lot of actual romance in this. Action scenes, fight scenes. Even guys would probably love this story with all the fighting and the cool moves and the cool gadget that goes on. It's almost kind of like...
I don't read books, I read them for the romance, I swear.
So, I mean, what kind of drew me in was the romantic element, but I do love guy action movies, which part of the story is just like a guy action movie. And plus, the author lives in Arizona, and part of it takes place in Arizona. So, I mean, how could I go wrong since I live in Arizona, right?
We do, don't we?
So, this is a great series. So, if you're hesitant about the whole alien thing, I would really get over that because you need to read this series. Because Martini, hello, if you love romance at all, he is incredibly hot. You need to read it right now.
Hi. I'm your boyfriend. How's it going?
Okay, Martini, we still love you. Go buy
Give me this!
Jesus. That's it for me.
I guess that's it for me, too. Oh, look.
My little bear fell down.
Oh, no, mine.
Anyways, so thank you for watching. I hope I kind of inspired you to go out and read some things that maybe you haven't read before.
And I hope I entertained you.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Take care.
And spike your hair.
Bye-bye.
Bye.